Part 2, raising rabbits, why we do it, inputs, outputs, what makes sense. So we were talking about tanning hides in the last view, part 1, last video. Right now we'd use tannins from a tree. I don't like harvesting something from so far away, and then it's getting transported and I don't know where it's made. If I can have a more local solution, and I have one, it is oak tannins. Now I need to look up whether white oaks, and I need to look up what species of oaks I have here exactly, which ones have the most tannins, if there's a difference. We could even figure this out by taking the same exact weight of leaves and putting them in 2 things of water and then putting in the sun, or even trying boiling it. I don't know if that would help make a tea, but then put it in glass vials, glass things, and then check and see if one is darker than the other. The darker one has more tannins. I made that up. Probably true. Sounds good, right? Anyway, we can also, as another experiment, take 2 hides, or 4, and process them all at the same time. And do 2 with commercial tannins that I buy. I buy them over in Quiroga from some people who tan leather. And they sold me, I think, a whole costal. They probably made a profit on it. You know, that's fine. I don't have to go looking for some other place. And then side by side, we do the regular ones with the oak leaves. And perhaps it's using... I'm interested in making it stronger. So it's interesting to think about making an evaporation. This is a different project. This would be an energy project. But an evaporation thing for 5-gallon buckets of water. It's not going to be super hot. We don't need it to be. It's going to be a little bit hot. It could be attached to some building that's hot, so that it's moderately hot. Then we have a little fan at the bottom that is powered on its own little solar power thing, or hooked into the grid, but it's a tiny fan. And it blows air into this kind of cabinet that the 5-gallon buckets have been placed into. And the idea is we want to get this air from the outside to go through these buckets, which are not so hot. They're not being heated like I want to heat other things, you know, really hot. No. But they're warmer than normal. Okay? And then this air goes through, and so we're getting, especially at night, because this thing will be on a system that we can have it run at night. It's very important. We could put on a timer of some kind, but I think I want it to run in the daytime and I want it to run in the nighttime. These buckets are in a dark place because we're controlling what grows in it, you know? They don't need to be in the light. In fact, they shouldn't be. And we fill those buckets with oak leaves and water. And then we evaporate the heck out of that water. Now, if somebody can tell me a better way to evaporate things, fine by me. With very little energy, though. That's the key. You know, we could probably have black plates in the sun and run liquid over it, and have a pump and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I should look that up. Like, how can I evaporate water off of oak leaves? And we would try and do this probably during the rainy season, or when we have water, you know? I don't know. There could be evacuated tube heating of some kind, but I got to not melt the buckets, obviously. So the idea then is that as we concentrate it, that we can then soak the hide in that tannin solution. The darker it is, the more tannins it has. I made that up still. But that's a good thing to wonder and think about. Let's get back to the meat. Just bounce back and forth here. By the way, this could become a whole industry in this municipio, where lots of people are raising rabbits. It's a great thing to do. It's meat at the right scale. It'd be great to teach people in Harakwaro to do this, because they have so much space, right? And they could make courtyards out there and not raise cattle. It could be done. And the rabbits would be more efficient and maybe make them more money. Also, show them the hats because they're already famous for making hats. They make straw hats. But they're a hat place. They have hat contacts. They're in the hat world. So even if that's all they produced with their rabbit furs, they could get those through their channels, and it's just an awesome product. It's so simple. 3 pieces, 3 hides, laced together in a kind of cone shape a little bit, folded out. And if you're really cold, you can fold it down and pull it down. It'll look dumb. But I've done it many times because it's cold. Yeah. Okay, back to the meat. First of all, you don't need a new menu for rabbit. You don't need a new recipe. Just do whatever you do with chicken to a rabbit. Problem solved. You could do whole chickens on a plate, just like you could do quail or something. You could do a whole turkey on a plate, or you could do a whole rabbit on a plate. It works. They look a little different, so I'm not sure about presentation. I would kind of prefer that you just like here when you go and you buy a chicken, they chop it up for you, and it's all roasted. It was on this spit, and you could have rabbits roasting on a spit. If we can sell rabbits to eat, ready to eat, then we can make more off the rabbits. Now, I was thinking first about just feeding us. Now, right now, us is me, and it's not even worth it for me to raise rabbits, so I don't do it. But essentially, that should be one of our only meat sources. Now, if somebody has more money and resources and feels like it, then, we have grills and stuff, and they can buy beef in town. They can get meat they want. They can share it with me. Fine with me. The beef around here is ethical. It's great. But I want to perfect the rabbit system. There is a guy in China that I heard about many years ago, the Rabbit King, and he taught people how to raise rabbits his way. I would love to investigate and hear more about his way. Probably I won't like it, since I'm against cages and stuff, and the systems I'm proposing use a lot of real estate. That's one of the problems. And that's why I mentioned the town of Harakwaro, which is an ex-island and is just surrounded by grassland that is stomped down by cows. And so we could have experiments in restoring the land by having areas of that were kind of wild rabbit ranching. Not a bad idea. And then they've got all the meat they want. They can sell that meat when people go there. Because you can buy roast chicken in some towns, you can buy it in Naranga. And that's great. But it's produced far away, and it's chickens that were produced in mass warehouse type conditions. And it's not ideal. They're not happy chickens. I don't want to eat unhappy meat. The animal had to have had a good life, And of course, it's horrible to cut a being's life short, but many animals live in symbiosis with other animals whose meat they eat. We are omnivores. We have been a long time. It may have been critical to our evolution. Doesn't mean we have to do it now, but we can do it better if we're going to do it. And so I would rather get out of the whole meat, no meat conversation and the ecology of meat, because I'm interested in exploring actual ways you can ecologically raise meat. And rabbits are it. Along with chickens, which is an animal product, their egg. We would rarely eat the chicken. We eat extra roosters. But the egg is the goal. The egg is the almighty thing we serve with that. And those are convenient, prepackaged animal protein things. And those, I think, should be the only ones we produce here. This is about rabbits, so I don't want to get too far off topic. But there are other animals proposed. Pigs, I don't believe I have enough extra food waste for pigs. And I just think rabbits are better. There's options there. I'll consider anything. Cows are just too big. They're too heavy and they stomp the ground down. Dairy, a lot of people want to do dairy. I like cheese. If people want to buy cheese, there's no rule against it. But I think it is better here to not have dairy. And that has to do more with lifestyle than anything else. I mean, almost all dairy is hard on the land, whether it's sheep, goats, cows. Um, it's just they have tough feet, and cows are a huge investment. Uh, I just don't see it working here. It's the wrong scale for the community dynamic that I'm imagining. Doesn't mean we can't do things like buy an entire tuna fish from the coast once a year. Have a big tuna fest. Why not? They can get it up here on ice. We can be all ready to season it and cook it up. That could be a fantastic party. We could do the same thing with a pig once a year. Get a pig, roast the pig on a spit over a fire if you want to. That's very stereotypical. You see that in cartoons. I've never seen it in person. You could bury the pig in coals and have really soft meat that way. That's a great idea. I think one good idea that isn't bad is carnitas. That's very popular here. It goes against a bunch of rules for food here. You dip the pig, essentially, I don't understand the whole process. You kill the pig, you dump it on this enormous copper vat of oil, and you oil cook the shit out of it. In some sense, I don't like that because generally I don't want to cook with oil, but we can make exceptions. Why not? It's fun. And carnitas are very popular. They eat everything on the pig here. They eat the tail. I don't know if they eat the eyeballs or not, but pig tongue probably gets eaten. There's also weird meats we can buy in town, like beef tongue. Liver is a great thing to buy if you're buying in town and you want the most protein value for your money. The rabbits, I don't think will be included in the free system of whatever we set up here. I want basic food to be included, and I want people to pay more for meat. And that's because the amount of work we have to do for meat is much, much more. Doesn't matter who's doing it, whether it's you or somebody else, it's a cost. It's an energy suck to raise meat. That's why I don't want to do dairy, because dairy needs to be milked every day. That's obnoxious. That's totally horrible. It's not efficient. So rabbits, it'd be easier for us if we have any success at all financially. It would be easier for us to buy meat in town, particularly getting good with liver, I think is the key. As far as the financial aspects of whether this even pencils out, and this is really important, we shouldn't raise rabbits if it doesn't pencil out. And one of the questions is, could we sell the meat? And that tells us something about the value of it. Like, are there any chickens who are raised around here and are fat? And what's the price that it costs to buy them? I don't know if anyone's doing that. One of the costs if we buy commercial chickens is that we don't like how they're raised. And so it's a ethical cost for us. And so we have to make columns with, the costs and the debts that we are causing ecologically with any choice. And what does the labor really cost? Like, can we track our time? How much do we sell a hat for? And how much time did it take to tan that hat, put it through a couple processes, and then figure out how to make it into a hat, and then make it into a hat, and then move it to a place where somebody wanted to buy a hat. I'm not sure I want to be a hat maker. I want to get hat making going with other places. Or we do it, that's fine. And we might be able to make money doing it, especially if we can ship them. I don't know what issues there are with shipping animal products. We could certainly put them in vehicles and drive them up to the States and sell them. But I don't know about mailing furs, for example. I do notice we could buy furs from China super cheap. And this is a problem, is we're competing against other systems economically that are very difficult to compete with. So like when I tried to sell rabbits, I had a really hard time selling them. I think I lost money for sure, because I charged them the same as a chicken, because that's my goal. But I know that the work we've put into that, of course, we were newer at it. We didn't have a system set up. But the work we put into it was way more than the amount I could sell it for. You know, because it adds up during the lifetime of a rabbit and having to haul this green stuff around. But it might be worth it to somebody else. So it could be that I can make it fly in Herakmaro by showing them my system and then saying, by the way, you could copy this and do it at a bigger scale if you want. They've got more labor laying around. They've got more time. They got more people. It's the biggest town in Aronga. And rabbits have a long history in the mythology of the Aztecs and stuff. We're in Purepecha area. I don't know what they thought of rabbits, but you know, rabbits have some mythological coolness to them. They're inherently cool. And they taste great. I don't know why people, I think maybe if people have had wild rabbit, then it might taste gamey or something, but they taste just fine. They taste like whatever sauce you put on them. I mean, do chickens really have that much taste? You have an unsalted just chicken that's been roasted and not basted with anything tasty like spices and stuff. And chickens are pretty boring. And so really, you know, we can take and make rabbit pozole. We can make rabbit tostadas. We can make rabbit ceviche. I think we did that once. We can dry rabbit pieces and have rabbit jerky. So let's go crazy with the rabbits. And then include other communities to the degree we're able. There's some thoughts for you. I want to fund the rabbit project. Let's get into financing a tiny bit. It's easy to buy the rabbits. They reproduce themselves. It is labor to feed them or cost to buy commercial food for them and then way less labor. It costs a bunch of land. It ties up land. On the other hand, all that's going to become the most productive gardens. So that's not a problem. We don't raise rabbits and chickens together. You can read about why I think that online. It's a life or death situation. The biggest thing then is the walls. The walls have to be smooth, not have sharp corners, because we don't want animals to be able to scurry up it. It has to be taller than a dog could get in. And in fact, if it's a really smooth wall, then less stuff can get in, and the less high it has to be. Rabbits don't jump very high. But there's a lot of very tricky wildlife around here. And so this is also why I mentioned what trees are in it and around it. Because stuff could go in the branch of a tree and jump to another tree and then go down, kill a rabbit, and leave. It could be foxes. That's one of our beliefs based on the evidence of rabbits that got killed in the past. It could be armadillo. That's unlikely. More likely an opossum. It could be a ringtail cat. They got them around here. I got an old video clip I never did publish somewhere. They're really cool. But they'll kill shit. Taller is better than shorter. It also makes a nice shaded spot. If we trim the trees so that they're always away from the wall on both sides. And again, I want that smooth wall. And I want to use trail cameras around it and track. Because we have had problems in the past, and so we have to build these walls correctly. They need to be tall enough, and so yeah, we just need to consider that. It could be brick, smoothed with concrete, and then just real smooth well. I want to keep mice out of there, because we might have commercial food in there, although we could dump enough commercial food in a day so that they can eat that and it's all gone. So that at night there's not just food laying around. We could experiment with that. Totally doable. Shot on the rabbits. I write on Quora about it. All the links in the description. And this is a way to reduce animal abuse in the world. This is a way to have humans eating healthier meat. This is a way to raise meat in a way that improves the land instead of damages it. This is a way to feed our meat animals with things that we can't eat and raise them in a variety of kinds of land. As long as they can dig into that and make their own burrows, we're golden. Good luck. That's the rabbit project.